All right, thank you. Our participants online are ready for us. Today on the panel with me are colleagues from various institutions. First of all, let me start from our youth champion who have worked with us on the agricultural risk management interventions in the continent. First of all, I will introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Pascal Shimwe. I'm from Kigali, Rwanda, and I am a filmmaker interested in agriculture. Thank you.
Next is Mr. Dewa Abubakar. Mr. Pascal, which country are you from?
Rwanda.
Okay. Next is Mr. Dewa Abubakar.
Bonjour à tous, je m'appelle Dewa Abubakar, je suis journaliste multimédia, je viens du Cameroun, plus précisément dans le nord du Cameroun.
Go ahead. Okay. Alors, bonjour, moi je me nomme Steve Midiola, je suis journaliste multimédia également et je viens du Togo, un pays de l'Afrique de l'Ouest.
Okay, next is our colleague from AUDA-NEPAD.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good afternoon to all participants present and online. My name is Odidi Siveche. I am a program officer on agriculture and food insecurity risk management at AUDA-NEPAD. Thank you.
We have our colleague from PARM Secretariat, Madam Dorcas.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dorcas Antumba. I'm in charge of knowledge management, communications, and partnership within the platform for agricultural risk management, PARM, which is a platform hosted by IFAD. Thank you.
Thank you. The next is Mr. Claude.
Yeah, my name is Jean-Claude Bidogeza. I am a technical specialist at platform, so in charge of country operation in the 8 countries where we operate. Thank you.
Okay, joining us online is Ms. Mavumbi from the COMESA.
Hello, moderator. Can you hear me? Can you confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Providence Mavubi. I'm the director in charge of industry and agriculture programs at the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa. Over to you, moderator.
Thank you, madam. It's now my turn. My name is Vincent Opara from the African Union Development Agency. I am the head of disaster risk reduction and management, working with the Partnership for Agricultural Risk Management in Africa, of which agricultural risk management is one of the intervention that we make at the African Union Development Agency under the Disaster Risk Management Unit. Without wasting much time, I would just like to welcome everyone to this session. I am the session moderator, whereas Madam Dorcas is the official rapporteur for the session. Mr. Claude and Madam Mavumbi and Ms. Sodidi will be our key speakers. And of course, there will be intervention from our youth experts from Rwanda, Cameroon, and Togo. I think we can now, before we start playing the video, I would like to state some facts on the issue regarding agricultural risk management in Africa. All right, thank you, everybody. As an introduction about agricultural risk management, before we try to understand what agricultural risk management is all about and the key projects going on in the continent that our speakers are going to be deep diving into, we know that agriculture is the mainstay of the Africa's economy. However, the continent is vulnerable to price volatility in terms of the agriculture sector, and the issue of financial uncertainties and the global geopolitical tension have also affected the agricultural productivity. And again, the most worrying aspect is the climate risk as a result of El Nino and La El Nino events in the continent. For example, South Africa and parts of the Sahel region are undergoing drier conditions, while in East Africa is being hit with wetter than usual conditions that are triggering flood. And of course, the implications are loss of income and livelihood among smallholder farmers. On the food and the nutrition side of things, food and nutrition insecurity is a very big challenge. At least 1 in 5 Africans go to bed hungry, and over 140 million people in Africa face acute insecurity, food insecurity. We saw in the panel that just closed before this side event that, for example, in Nigeria alone, they have about 10 million people that need the support of the food, what do you call it, the school feeding program. So if you say 10 million times $1 per day, that means Nigeria alone needs $10 million per day to solve that situation. How much more the impact of all of this climate change, that food insecurity is one of the consequences. However, research suggests that interventions could reduce expected losses by as much as 50%. But the problem is our governments only allocate about 1% of their national budgets to address these challenges. The challenge of this magnitude needs a lot of partners and key players on board. So what the Partnership for Agricultural Risk Management is doing is to assemble key technical and financial donors to mobilize resources to intervene in agricultural risk management. And of course, through NEPAD-led Agriculture and Food Insecurity Risk Management Program, we're also contributing our quota to address the challenges. So in this side event, the key objectives are just to share experience from both AUDA-NEPAD, the PARM Secretariat, as well as our youth champions on what we've been doing. And secondly, to reflect on how best to coordinate efforts of different institutions and partners on agricultural risk management in the continent. And finally, all of these discussions and the gatherings can only be meaningful and can only be accelerated if the resources are there. So how do we identify these resources? And also, how do we align all our efforts with other interventions in the continent to avoid the duplication of efforts. So at the end of this session, we expect that we must have increased our knowledge and awareness of different approaches towards agricultural risk management in the continent. And also, we can also identify one or two intervention areas that's what we are doing in our various projects. Our programs can benefit from all those initiatives. And of course, we are all hoping to have some knowledge or information on key resources to intervene in this area. Our panelists have already introduced themselves. And again, before we call on the panelists to make interventions, we'd like to share a video so that we can already see some of the things we've been doing, because they say a picture speaks 1,000 words. In this case, it's a video, which is also more than a picture. Technician, could you please play the video?
In the heart of our country, Rwanda, where the land meets the sky, there lies a world of resilience and determination. Welcome to the untold stories of rural farmers who have not only cultivated crops, but also their own inner strength.
Ikintu cya mbere ginshimisha iyo mpinze nkajya ku isoko nkaba nagurisha abandi bantu batahinze, cyangwa se undi muntu wo mu yindi sosiyete cyangwa famiye yo higa ikaba yayiga binkomotseho, ibyo bintu biranshimisha. Si bibi byanjye njyenyine, ahubwo tukagura bikaba ibintu rusange.
Kuba ndi umudamu mu buhinzi bintera ishema, bimfasha kwigira, mbasha kwigurira icyo nshaka nk'ayo mavuta, nkaba nakira umwana ku ishuri akiga nta kibazo.
Kuba ndi urubyiruko nkaba nkora umwuga w'ubuhinzi ni ikintu mbona kirimo amafaranga, cyafasha umuntu kwiteza imbere, akaba ariyo mpamvu nabihisemo. Nkaba mbikora mu buryo bwo kugira ngo ndebe ko byanzamura nanjye mwigira imbere.
Wuro André, au nord du Cameroun. Dans cette partie du pays, les terres cultivables diminuent en raison de la dégradation des sols et les pluies se font rares à cause des effets des changements climatiques. Les agriculteurs locaux en sont les premières victimes. C'est le cas de Gano Pierre, un jeune agriculteur qui nous guide aujourd'hui à travers sa parcelle de terre.
J'exploite, n'est-ce pas, ce terrain, mais ça ne donne pas. Des fois, j'ai fait 1 hectare de maïs, comme vous voyez dans ce champ, mais je n'ai pas eu un bon rendement. J'ai utilisé même les engrais chimiques, mais avec tout ça, ça ne donne pas. Avec 1 hectare que j'ai fait, je n'ai que eu 6 sacs.
Au quotidien, ce jeune agriculteur lutte contre les défis liés aux terres dégradées et aux événements météorologiques extrêmes qui touchent son village.
Les sols, n'est-ce pas, sont dégradés et nous sommes, n'est-ce pas, dans une zone, n'est-ce pas, aride. Nous avons également le problème, n'est-ce pas, du changement climatique. Des fois, la pluie est un peu aléatoire, je peux dire, puisqu'il y a des fois, il y a une saison, n'est-ce pas, de sécheresse et les trucs comme les cultures comme le maïs ne supportent pas la sécheresse.
Les aléas climatiques et l'appauvrissement des sols ne le découragent pas dans ses activités agricoles.
Moi, je suis dépassé, je ne sais quoi faire. L'agriculture, n'est-ce pas, a été une activité pratiquée, n'est-ce pas, par nos ancêtres. Je ne connais plus d'autres activités en plus de ça. Je ne peux pas abandonner, mais vraiment, je ne m'en sors pas quand même. Mais avec tout ça là, je me bats.
Pour protéger l'environnement et dynamiser les productions agricoles, une ONG, a introduit une technique agroécologique pour faire face aux aléas climatiques. Il s'agit du ZAI, une méthode ancienne répandue en Afrique de l'Ouest, mais méconnue ici, dans le nord du Cameroun. Des efforts de résilience portent leurs fruits. Grâce au ZAI, ces agricultrices ont récupéré plusieurs hectares de terres dégradées qu'elles avaient abandonnées par le passé.
Min fudi wargo zaido min awi butali be man min fondi hectare do min hebi bucha pantati min hebi do min nyami min wari valle amin ha min sippi min do huwa haji amin fu be man fayin.
La technique agroécologique du ZAI a permis aux femmes d'augmenter leur productivité, d'améliorer leurs moyens de subsistance et de contribuer à la sécurité alimentaire.
Zaido bikkoy do nane do nyamdu min wala hebugo jotta do warti min do wada be zaigo ni min do heba butali kam ko min do huwa fu be man do min do heba min do borna bikkoy be man min do jangina be école be do nyama be do hara e haajeji fere fere fu min do huwa be man jender sare ko woni billare jete pat min do huwa be man gam zai ekitina min hunde jur ko min do heba keba e
certain temps on a constaté que la région maritime, précisément la préfecture de la V qui est collée au Ghana, utilise tellement de produits chimiques, que ce soit herbicides, protecteurs ou fertilisants, ils utilisent beaucoup cela. Étant formé pour l'agroécologie, j'ai décidé de les aider en les réunissant très souvent pour les former, les aider à produire les biofertilisants, les bioprotecteurs.
Les leçons démarrent avec des gestes simples. Des mix actifs mélangeant la bouse de vache, le lait, la levure et du sucre. Dama a décidé d'embrasser l'agroécologie dans son champ.
Comme les engrais organiques, il y a des dons. Pas oublier blia le que blad ne voit toi aglo namia be de kaje vio klo chugoje vio be no ya dia blia no no zan e sa ho bangre.
Resilience isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving and preserving the land for future generations.
Kubijyanye no gutaka kubijya tuhinge igihe kirambye no butaka bwacu tugomba kubyitaho tukabuhinga ku buryo umuntu agira nyine arwanya ibisuri tugomba kubufata neza kugira natwe tuzabusigira abandi tuzasiga.
As the sun sets on another day, these farmers look to the horizon with hope and determination.
Mu nzozi zanjye barumva ko nakagura nkahinga ibibanza 3, 4 mu buryo nyine nimba nagaburiraga abantu 5 buryo nakagura nyine bakaba baba nka 20.
Inzozi zanjye mba numva biramutse bikunze nagira gutyo nyine nkagura nkayaminga umurima munini nkayambasha kujyana mu masoko ya kure nkabasha kuba nagaburira abantu benshi bivuye kuri njyewe mbese nyine nkabura nta muntu ufite inzara. Nizo nzozi zanjye.
In the heartland of our nation, where the fields are vast and the spirit unyielding, these rural farmers stand as beacons of resilience.
Yeah, that was a video captured by our youths sitting on the panel who allow you to reflect on the video. Then we mix it up a little bit with our panel speakers, and they are also on the ground experience before we come back to the youth to talk about and elaborate on the video. Okay. Before I call upon the panels that are here present, I wanted to invite Ms. Providence Mavumbi from COMESA to share the experience of what COMESA is doing around agricultural risk management. For the sake of time, we would like you to limit your intervention to about 10 minutes or so that we can have follow-up questions as well as interaction with the audience. Madam Mavumbi, are you on the line?
Yes, I am here. Again, please confirm if I'm audible.
Yes,
thank you.
You're audible. You're audible enough. So
Okay.
we will be taking your reflections as a representative from the regional economic communities' perspective on managing risk, building resilience and achievement, and also how do you close the gaps, and also what are the supports that are needed in the area of agricultural risk management. Over to you, madam.
Yes, thank you, moderator. First of all, allow me to thank the AUDA-NEPAD and PARM for inviting COMESA to be part of this event. And may I request that I speak without the video because I'm at the border where the network is not stable, to ensure that my connectivity stay while I'm giving my quick intervention as the moderator requested. To give a context, the agriculture sector in Africa represents an immense potential for economic growth, poverty alleviation, and food security, yet it is highly susceptible to various shocks, including climate risk, price volatility, financial uncertainties, migration pressures, pandemic, conflict, and geopolitical tension. This disruption continues to impede progress towards sustainable agriculture growth and emphasize the need for a robust framework for agricultural risk management. Recognizing this challenge, COMESA has been actively engaged in initiatives to build the resilience, secure investment, and foster an environment where the agriculture sector can thrive. From the COMESA perspective, managing agriculture risk and fostering resilience are essential to ensure that investment in the food system are protected against adverse global and regional events. COMESA intervention focuses on creating a conducive regulatory and policy environment, advancing infrastructure development, and strengthening capacity across member states. Some of the key interventions that we have been doing, one is the promotion of climate smart agriculture, where COMESA has championed TSA practice across the region to help smallholder farmers mitigate climate impacts. We have done this through training program and resource allocation. About 100,000 farmers have been trained and equipped with skills to adopt technology such as drought-resistant seeds, improved irrigation method, and soil conservation technique. With this practice, we believe that they help the farmer to reduce their vulnerability to climate variability and also enhance their productivity. Secondly, our intervention has been on strengthening access to agriculture finance, because we believe that to accelerate investment, we had to partner with financial institutions. Already, COMESA have our own trade development bank, which has been giving financing to commercial bank in the member state, and also helping the commercial bank and microfinance to come up with products, financial products such as branded finance models, insurance products tailored to smallholder farmers, and risk-sharing mechanism. We believe that these financial products can help reduce the farmers' risk and increase their access to credit, thereby enabling them to invest in productivity, enhancing technology. The third area of our focus is on market access and value chain development. We believe that to increase resilience, we have to invest in expanding market access of agricultural products through initiatives that reduce trade barrier. We have what we call the COMESA simplified trade regime that enable goods of below 200 2,000 USD to cross the border without going through lengthy process with just one document. And we have been also working with our member states to streamline the SPS and TBT standard, and as well work on mutual recognition to facilitate trade of agricultural goods. We also believe in development of value chain development. So COMESA has been supporting our member states, especially farmer and SME in agriculture, with capacity building on value addition, and also on how to diversify their income source, which can help mitigate the financial risk associated with a single market dependency. Last intervention that we have been doing as a region is data-driven agriculture risk management in collaboration with a number of development partners such as Alliance for a Green Revolution, the USAID, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the United Kingdom FDO Office, Rockefeller Foundation, and other technical partners, including AUDA-NEPAD as well, PARM. We have been really working to integrate agriculture risk management into national and the regional policy framework. We have developed also a regional food balance sheet, which is a tool, a digital tool to provide data to member states on potential production, be able to predict when how much we may have at the end of a season. If there is a shortage of food in one country, they could see from the regional food balance sheet where there will be abundant supply, so they can start traders negotiating with each other to buy goods, not when we have a drought and start struggling to find out where do we get food. So we believe that platforms such as agriculture risk management to partner with the AUDA-NEPAD and African Union, it's a good partnership that can help adopt comprehensive agriculture risk management strategy within the AU member state or COMESA member state national agriculture investment pattern. Investment plan. So reflecting on the achievement that the platform has made, it's evident that while there is significant strides that have been made, considerable work still remains. Smallholder farmers who form the agricultural backbone of the continent still face risk daily that necessitate innovative local solutions. So COMESA is focusing on scaling those efforts by fostering partnership that blend private public sector investment, thereby by creating a more robust financial support ecosystem for agriculture risk management. COMESA also emphasized the need for deeper engagement. Yes, please. I'm concluding. Yes, I'm concluding. So COMESA emphasized the need for deeper engagement among stakeholders to enhance ARM initiative across the region. So there is a need to have collaborative effort that can better align strategy, harness the existing resources, and address the policy gap. In conclusion, while progress has been made, accelerating investment in agriculture risk management is still critical. Therefore, we call on all stakeholders present and those online to support the scaling of effective intervention and to prioritize inclusive investment that enhance resilience. I thank you, moderator, and I welcome any question or comment. Thank you.
Thank you, COMESA, for your intervention, which you have spoken about the working with women and youth, as well as data-driven intervention, which you provide information on food reserve, including distribution, managing post-harvest loss, and other public-private partnership arrangements, which include the one with AUDA-NEPAD and the PARM sectorate. Having had this, Mr. Claude, I would like you to come in to react on this, and also for gender balancing before we come to Ms. Zodedi. Mr. Claude, we would like you to have some reflection on, because we are aware that since the formation of PARM, its intervention have been carried out through the the horizons. You've had the first one and the second one, and in which you have also developed some tools, and you also have some success stories. And I would like you to share with this audience on those key interventions. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vicente. Thank you very much, Vicente and Mavubi. I think you have said it all, how agriculture risks are affecting a key sector of the economy of our countries. Actually, when we say risk, so let's just share with the audience what is the risk. Risk is very basic. Basically, we can define risk as a phenomena induced naturally or by a human being. When it is strike, we don't know when it is strike, and when it is strike, there is an economic impact. So, so we can categorize risk. We can put risk in different categories. There is a production risk, climate risk, pest and diseases. There is floods. There is market risk, market risk here. Financial risk, access to finance. It's the terms of accessing to finance may vary. They are volatile. Macro risk at macro. Those can be political instability. It can be unpredictable government decisions. When, for example, government is allocated to the agriculture sector this amount for this year, so we are not sure that the next year it will be allocated the same amount. So there is a volatility. So there is a volatility of governments taking the decision. This year, the government may decide to subsidize on a particular crop. Next year, it changes its mind. So all those are uncertainty that prevents, sustained investment in the sector. And when the environment is too risky, a farmer cannot invest. What the farmer does is to keep the agriculture subsistence, to get enough to eat for himself and the family. So in the prevalence and the complexity of the multiple risks that face agriculture system, coupled with the inability of our institution to address those risks in holistic and integrated manner, continue to make the African countries and the agriculture sector, rural livelihood, very vulnerable, very vulnerable. So when there is the environment is risky at micro level, meso level, at macro level, there will be always little investments. So to contribute to address this, so we have a partner with AUDA and NEPAD since 2013 to see what we can do. So what we did in the first phase is to generate knowledge. So the first thing of managing a risk is to know those risks. So what we do, we have worked together in a number of countries, in Cameroon, Cape Verde, Ethiopia, Liberia, Niger, Senegal, Uganda, and Zambia. So to generate quantitatively what are the risks that have the potential to affect the country economy. So those knowledge products, we have been using them to advocate to the government, so to see how they can support, to adjust, to integrate some agricultural risk management tool into the government policy and the program. And in the second phase of where we partner with, so in the first phase, so we partner with AUDA-NEPAD operationally. So we're together on the field. So in the second phase, AUDA-NEPAD was sitting in the steering committee on the people giving us the strategic orientation. So what we did, and we're still doing in the phase 2, is to generate those knowledge, but also to support the government to design agriculture investments. So in order to translate into a project the tools that have are relevant to support countries to manage those risks. So some of the example of tools is crop and livestock insurance. when we were designing those projects, warehouse receipt systems, to put in place, a national coordination facility to coordinate the different initiatives that are around agriculture risk management. So in whatever we do, so we try to align with a country strategy. So we are there to support the country strategy. So what we do in a number of countries, for example, in Ghana, we support it. We are supporting the Ghana government to implement the planting for foods strategy phase 2, so to operationalize this strategy. So this we have done this in Ghana, in Burundi, also in Tunisia. So Vincent, let me limit myself here. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Claude. Before we bring in our online participants, if they have some questions, I want to go now to the Africa Union Development Agency, represented by Ms. Zodidi, for you to reflect on you've seen COMESA, and both COMESA and PARM have already reflected on what AUDA-NEPAD is doing with these key institutions. So I would like you to focus your intervention on so far the lessons that have been learned from these key interventions, and also going forward, how do we use these lessons to support our future projects and interventions, especially the post-Malabo agenda in agriculture? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and also thank you to the colleagues who spoke before me. I'm glad they did the majority of the work, so my intervention will be quite brief. So basically, just to reflect back, so the Agriculture and Food Insecurity Risk Management Project by AUDA-NEPAD was established, or has been implemented since 2011. And the aim of the program itself is really to support our regional economic communities, member states, and, we have a special focus on smallholder farmers and other vulnerable groups to really support them manage the risks better, and also mainstream agriculture risk management into their tools, policy, instruments, and also into their development and investment plans. So under the Malabo Declaration, we have Commitment 6, right? Where member states committed to enhancing resilience, to climate variability and other shocks. But the main focus on that time was on the climate change effects. And I think some of what we've seen in the video captures that. What are the implications of the climate effects? But what we have noticed, together with PARM, as we have been, implementing in these countries, is that agriculture is vulnerable to a variety of shocks, right? So my colleague Jean-Claude has already mentioned volatility in both input and output prices. There's financial uncertainties. We have migration. We've had pandemics now, conflicts, and also, the global geopolitical tensions, and which have also had an effect, on agriculture in Africa. So all these have been coming out, right, from the risk assessment studies that we have conducted in the countries. And, as I mentioned, so as you've seen from the videos already, our smallholder farmers, they are implementing, some indigenous knowledge and practices, for them on how they can manage or better manage, these risk factors they come to, or they are faced with actually on a day-to-day basis. So the FM project really has been trying to intervene to see these actions or their strategies upscaled, replicated, and also we want to see or we've had them, complementing, some of the innovations, the climate smart technologies, because as we all know, this is how the youth are getting involved and practicing agriculture. So it goes back to some of the risk assessment tools that my colleague Jean-Claude has mentioned. And also, with the agriculture and food insecurity risk management project. So it was also just to go beyond the risk itself. So when we're doing the tools assessment, we also look at the constraints, right? What are the constraints that are aggravating these risk factors or this climate change, post-harvest losses? What are those constraints that are making this even worse and having even more economic implications in the countries? So basically, just in a nutshell, together with PARM, so our program really has been about supporting member states to put in place tools, programs, and other interventions, that will really support effective management of risks, to strengthen the resilience of agriculture. So not only from a production perspective, but also looking at the entire agri-food system. So ultimately, we want to see smallholder farmers, women, youth, and other vulnerable groups, who are most affected by the risk factors. We want to see them have their capacities strengthened so they're able to address the risk of the CAADP strategy and action plan, which is 2026 to 2035. So which really focuses around building resilient agri-food systems in Africa. So, there's a whole strategic objective there, which is around building really, these resilient agri-food systems through effective management of risks and shocks. And, it also supports, increased agricultural productivity. So therefore, we want to continue to work with our recs, to work with our member states to achieve this.
Sorry, we are running short of time because we need to invite our online participants because we have about 14 minutes to do that. I think the online mic is open now. If participants could indicate their interest to speak by show of hand. Okay, I can see Mr. Tom. You can go ahead with your question. Please introduce yourself. And also, if it's possible, you mention which speaker that your question is being directed to. Over to you, Mr. Tom.
Okay, thank you, moderator. I'm happy to be part of this important side event. My name is Tom Mugisa from Uganda. I'm actually one of the initial staff or consultants who worked on agricultural risk management from 2012 with AUDA-NEPAD and PARM. So my question is, what do we expect? I'd actually put it in the chat box. What do we expect as the next focus of agricultural risk management as part of the post-Malabo period from 2026 and to 2035? I know Claude talked about phase 1, phase 2. So is that going to be phase 3, phase 4, or what do you expect? What is the strategy focus moving forward in the next 10 years post-Malabo? Thank you.
Thank you. We can take more questions before the panelists can respond. While we are waiting for online participants to ask questions, I see my sister here wanted to ask some questions to the panelists.
Alors, OK. Merci beaucoup. Merci à tous les panélistes pour ces présentations et ces expériences que vous avez partagées. J'ai une question pour Monsieur Claude. Vous avez parlé d'accompagner les pays dans l'assurance agricole et même aussi pour l'élevage. J'ai trouvé ça assez intéressant et donc je voulais savoir concrètement comment est-ce que ça s'est manifesté. Par exemple, avec quel pays est-ce que vous avez eu des résultats et comment est-ce que ça s'est passé sur le terrain? Pour Zodidi ou bien peut-être pour l'ensemble des panélistes, actuellement, nous sommes en plein dans ce qu'on est en train de discuter, dans le sens où il y a beaucoup de zones où les gens ont fait face à beaucoup de sécheresse et dans le Sahel, des inondations avec des pluies diluviennes. Le problème, c'est par exemple, il y a une note du Centre Agrimet en Afrique de l'Ouest qui, en septembre, déjà avait alerté tous les gouvernements pour leur dire que dans les 10 jours qui allaient suivre, les inondations allaient s'accentuer. Donc, en termes de prévention, les systèmes de prévention ont bien fonctionné, mais il n'y a pas eu d'action. Le président de la PAFO, qui est aussi le président du ROPA, a récemment écrit une note dans laquelle il interpellait l'Union africaine, la CEDEAO, l'UEMOA, par rapport à tous ces risques auxquels nous faisons face, parce que les gens ont perdu leur maison, ils ont perdu leurs champs, ils ont perdu leurs élevages. Donc, dans le cadre des pays que vous avez accompagnés, par exemple, comment est-ce qu'on répond à cette situation qui est actuellement en train de se dérouler dans nos villes et dans nos campagnes également? Ou qu'est-ce qui est prévu? Voilà un peu mes questions. Merci.
Thank you, Madam. I see there's another hand there on the floor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Moderator, for the opportunity and for the panelists. We know the role of agricultural insurance in risk management.
Please, Madam, introduce yourself.
Okay,
Sorry.
My name is Blessing Ahile from ActionAid, Nigeria. So we know the importance of insurance as part of risk mitigation. And then we know the effect of climate change that it has on smallholder farmers in terms of droughts, floods, loss of livestock, poultry, and all that. So from the conversation, I've not heard the role of agricultural insurance and then what our various countries are doing about promoting and educating smallholder farmers to uptake agric insurance that will help them mitigate against the risk and also help them bounce back when they suffer some form of losses. The insurance will help them get monitoring and repayment for them to restart and bounce back when they suffer losses. So what are we doing and engaging various governments across Africa to also see how we give support and counterpart funding to support insurance optics for smallholder farmers, and key to also educate the smallholder farmers on the importance of uptaking agricultural insurance. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. I think there are 3 or 4 basic questions here, which any of the panelists can respond before we bring in the youth to also intervene. The number 1 is in terms of after Horizon 1 and 2, and also what FM project is doing, what is the next steps? Number 2 is in terms of response to natural disaster. As a result of all the warnings from the early warning systems that the information have been made available, how do we respond to all these warnings? And also the question from ActionAid, which I understand they also have some intervention in the area, is how do we co-create or align our resources and efforts towards agricultural risk management. And the question from the chat box from Mr. Felix is also talking about resources. How do we identify resources from bigger institutions to also collaborate in this area of agricultural risk management? So let me start with maybe Mr. Claude, if you could pick on these 3 or 4 questions and just zoom in on 1 or 2 of them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vincent. I think there was a question from my brother Tom Mugisha. I'm very glad to reconnect again. So we have been very helpful in the work that we did in Uganda. So what will be the strategic focus of our joint collaboration, PARM and AUDA-NEPAD, in the context of post-Malabo? I think we have already started, some discussions with AUDA and the NEPAD. So we hope that our support to move forward jointly in the implementation of post-Malabo will be much more tangible. So we are yet to define, the lines of the collaboration and how we are going to support the implementation of post-Malabo. Probably in the coming weeks, we may clearly see what we can jointly do. So with regard to the agriculture insurance, so if I can say that there is a 4 category of a group of risk. There are a risk that can be managed at the level of individual. When a risk, there is a 2 dimension of risk. A risk is being characterized with its frequency and the severity when it happens. So there are frequent risk with a little severity that can be managed at the level of smallholder farmers. Like, when you are getting a seed that are more tolerant to flood or drought. I think Madam Stella here from Cameroon, he's well positioned to say what type of technology that a farmer can be using to manage risks that are frequent but with little severity. But there are other bunch of risks that cannot be managed by the farmer because he don't have enough resources or expertise to do so. Those can be transferred. So one of the way to transfer risk is to transfer to a third part. That third part can be an insurance company. So the insurance company, they offer the expertise and the resources they sell risk. So this is one way. And another way, there are risks that cannot be managed by either individual or insurance. Those are the state, the government that have to do something. It's resources. So in all our projects, there is a component of agriculture risk and agriculture risk. So when we are designing countries, so in all the projects in those 8 countries, we have been integrated agriculture insurance with, of course, the leadership of the country. So the country are the one to make a choice if what we are proposing is aligning with the priority. But in most of the countries, there is the agriculture insurance is put in at the front. Is what I can say. So we are yet to implement. We have been designing projects. Probably when we be coming here to report, I may share some experience.
Thank you, Mr. Claude. While Madam Providence is getting ready for another intervention, Zodidi, do you have some responses for our participants in terms of especially what is next and how do you best see us aligning our efforts with the likes of Action Aid and all the key partners. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and thank you to the participants for the very good question. So let me start on the first one on what is next. And I also share the same sentiments as Jean-Claude. It's really good and encouraging to have Mr. Tomukisa online. We've really worked extensively with him. So basically, as I mentioned, post Malabo, as we're going into this phase, we are definitely looking forward to a PARM Horizon 3. And I think, as my colleague has mentioned, the first two phases were really about providing the evidence and also solidifying the mechanisms, right, in the country. So for Horizon 3, we are really looking now into having projects, to have the programs or the investment programs, really in place on the ground in the countries, because this is what the countries want. And, we have invested a lot, both from the countries and the ministries themselves, into developing, these tools and these strategies. So maybe a call for us is to say, if we have any partners, whether it's here on the platform physically and also online, who want to support this work, as we go into phase 3, we really want to open up the partnership to make sure that all the programs that we have, Jean-Claude mentioned a few. I have one as well. I'm sure Tomukisa knows about it. In Uganda on structured trading systems. We have one as well on reducing post-harvest losses. So there's a lot of good work that has been done. And for Horizon 3 or the third phase, we want to see these really actualized on the ground, in partnership with PARM and opening up. So this is an open invitation to other partners, both technical and financial, really to join us as we are in the development stages of PARM Horizon 3. And also I mentioned that during, this year, as we were developing or making inputs into the post-Malabo, strategies and, way forward, we really did also work with our partners, PARM, to also contribute in those, stakeholder consultations. And we really advocated and highlighted this issue of building resilience, in the countries through effective agriculture risk management. So just effective meaning both a holistic and inclusive agriculture risk management. So as I said, I'm happy that it is already.
Thank you, Zadidi. We have about 6 minutes before we check whether Madam Mavumbi is still on the line. I may call now on the youth, on the video that they were part of the documentary, starting with Stephen from Togo. Could you give us a little bit of reflection on the video that we just watched? Colleagues, we have interpretation in case you are, because the colleague from Togo will be speaking in French.
Alors, merci pour la parole. Lorsque je menais l'enquête avant de réaliser cette vidéo, ce que j'ai remarqué, c'est que les femmes, d'abord, ils ont un problème d'accès aux terres. Et en second lieu, ce qui fait que les institutions financières ne veulent pas les accompagner dans leurs projets agricoles. Ça les pousse certaines fois à laisser tomber les bonnes pratiques agricoles et à se donner à tout ce que nous connaissons comme utilisation des engrais chimiques et autres. Le problème est dû, quand elles octroient des prêts dans ces institutions, il y a des taux d'intérêt pas possibles qui leur sont donnés. Et pour pouvoir payer ces taux, ils sont obligés d'aller à la facilité. Déjà, il y a un manque de main-d'œuvre dans la production des produits agricoles. Et l'utilisation de ces produits chimiques leur permet de ne pas trop collaborer avec des gens. Ce qui fait que nous, en tant que consommateurs, nous avons des produits alimentaires qui ne sont pas vraiment sains et ça détruit aussi la terre, puisque après l'utilisation de ces produits, il faut attendre plusieurs années avant de se lancer encore à produire sur cette terre. Donc, moi, personnellement, je voulais saisir de cette occasion pour demander à ces organisations, j'ai entendu parler qu'il y avait des programmes qui finançaient des projets agricoles, mais la question est de savoir est-ce que ces fonds sont vraiment donnés à ces femmes? Parce qu'elle n'est pas la seule, il y a plein de femmes dans la localité où j'ai eu à réaliser la vidéo qui se plaignaient de ça. Alors, l'organisation que j'ai rencontrée dans la zone, eux, ils se sont donnés pour mission de former ces femmes, malgré qu'il n'y a pas de moyens de former ces femmes pour que de manière volontaire, elles cessent d'utiliser ces produits. Bon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe Mr. Boubacar, could you also share your perspective from Cameroon on this intervention?
Une fois de plus, bonsoir à tous. C'est un plaisir pour moi de participer à cette 15e journée africaine de la sécurité alimentaire et nutritionnelle. Venant d'une partie du Cameroun qui est un peu touchée par les aléas des changements climatiques, c'est une tribune et surtout une occasion pour moi de partager les difficultés auxquelles font face les petits producteurs et plus précisément ces paysans qui sont dans les zones reculées du Cameroun. Alors, lors d'une descente sur le terrain, j'ai constaté que dans cette partie du Cameroun, d'abord confronté aux attaques de Boko Haram depuis 2012, qui est cette secte terroriste venue du Nigeria qui touche les localités frontalières du Cameroun, les petits producteurs et les petits paysans ont de la peine à mener les activités agricoles. Il y a les changements climatiques, mais ces populations se battent au quotidien avec des techniques agricoles résilientes dans cette partie du Cameroun, dont ces paysans, notamment des femmes et des jeunes, ont mis sur pied une technique agroécologique importée de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, quelque peu méconnue au nord du Cameroun, en l'occurrence l'osaï. C'est une technique qui consiste à creuser des petits trous pour que l'eau qui est rare dans cette partie du pays puisse être retenue dans les trous. Dans ces trous, ils mettent du compost bio, c'est-à-dire des composts qu'ils ont fabriqués eux-mêmes à base des bousses de vaches, de chèvres, de moutons parfois. Et ça permet de retenir de l'eau et augmenter la fertilité du sol. Et cela maintenant permet à ces femmes, à ces jeunes, de multiplier leurs productions agricoles. Donc cette technique-là permet actuellement à ces personnes-là confrontées à la rareté des pluies, à densifier les espaces cultivables et à multiplier leurs récoltes. Donc en participant au PARM Story Challenge, qui a été une opportunité offerte aux journalistes et aux producteurs de contenus vidéo, c'est une façon pour moi de dire merci, parce que c'est une tribune qui permet à cet organisme-là qui travaille au quotidien pour montrer les difficultés et porter la voix de ces personnes-là. Et en tant que lauréat de ces Story Challenge, c'est une fierté. Et je profite donc de la tribune pour demander à d'autres organisations d'essayer au quotidien de copier cet exemple de la PARM et de la FIDA, qui, n'est-ce pas, met au quotidien en valeur les initiatives qui sont prises par les populations, surtout dans les zones reculées. Merci.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Pascal. You can pass your mic there.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here and to share my experience from Rwanda. I would first thank PARM and AUDA-NEPAD to encourage us to create these stories, because farmers face a lot of challenges, especially in my country. it's not easy for them to access the finance. The financial institutions in Rwanda do not offer loans to the smallholder farmers, and that discourages them to carry on their activities. Also, climate change, I think it's a common challenge to every African country, but in Rwanda also we have that the seasonal changes. If these smallholder farmers used to do the activities according to the seasons, it's no longer there. So now what they need is more technology in their agricultural activities, especially in irrigation. Some of the places they are close to the lakes, but it is very hard for them to irrigate their farms because when they go to those lakes, they risk their lives to the aquatic animals such as hippos. So it is also my chance to express my feelings to PARM, IFAD, or other organizations to please help such people in need of that technology of irrigation so that they can improve their agricultural activities.
Thank you, Pascal. Thank you. COMESA still online. Do you have 1 minute wrap up from your end?
Thank you, moderator. I just wanted to contribute to one question about what can we do to engage major financial institution or other organization to invest in agriculture risk management. So here are some key areas I think we can bring them on board. One, through development of blended finance, through a public-private partnership where government, international development agency, such as AUDA-NEPAD or COMESA can work together with private sector to develop a blended finance, such as combining concession funding with private capital or establishing risk sharing scheme. Two is leveraging on digital platform for ARM solution that we can interest private company or big financial institution to get engaged in. Third is on establishment of agriculture investment hub, where we can create like regional hub that focus on agriculture risk management, and we interest financial institution, large agribusiness corporation. Also, government can provide them incentive, tax incentive, or policy assurance or sovereign guarantees to attract them. Last but not the least is something I think all of us can do, showcasing successful story and the case study, and highlighting case study where ARM investment has yielded return, or showcasing their profitability and the impact to the society. We can also do a lot of media and stakeholder engagement using media conferences such like this one we're attending, and the partnership to communicate success of ARM in food security, resilience, and economic growth. I think that will be my last word, because it's all about partnership, it's about working together, it's about creating awareness of what is needed to support ARM in general. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you, madam. So in the next 1 minute, we want to wrap up. Before then, we would like to award certificate to our youth who are here in the panel for job well done in terms of capturing some of the best practices that took place in the project. I'll call now on Madam Dorcas to take us through that certificate award ceremony.
Thank you so much, Vincent. For the sake of time, we will do it very quick. We would like to deliver this certificate to our youth filmmakers and media professionals that really help us to capture some best practices from the smallholder farmers, to shed light on them and showcase the innovative initiatives that they are putting in place to manage risk on their level and also to ensure self-resilience. I'm going to be calling up candidate by candidate, and my colleague Jean-Claude will deliver the certificate. So first, I'm going to call up Pascal Ishimwe, who is our first winner. He's from Rwanda. Okay. Congrats, Pascal. And then the next one is Steven Costa Nijola from Togo. Thank you so much. And our third winner is Abubakar Dewa from Cameroon. Thank you so much. This is our way to recognize the hard work that's they put into this, collection of stories on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Dorcas, and thank you, our panelists, once again. And thank you, all our online and those present here in the plenary. Online participants, we had about 25 participants initially, which has dropped now to about 18. So let's continue the conversation by following us on our website, both the PARM Secretariat website and that of the Africa Union Development Agency. Thank you very much. See you soon.